What's up guys, Daily here from Team WUNAX. I ended up getting 12th place at the regional playing pure Eldlich that we had this weekend, going 6-2. I actually went 3-1 into Fire Team Snake Eye with this deck. So yeah, I'm gonna get into the deck to show you guys how it works. I think everyone will like this because it is just traps. I really didn't play many floodgates. Start off with, we played 2 Golden Lords, obviously, 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prisons, and that's our whole monster count. That's it. I only played 4 monsters on my list, and these were enough to win. Almost all my games were just me summoning Golden Lord a bunch until my opponent lost. Or like summoning Lord. I think, like, looking back at it, I think I might have played another Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card's broken. The only reason I didn't want to play more is because, like, it can break you if you draw 2 of them. Sometimes it sucks, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal because they can't destroy your back row then. I actually think, like, this card, if I'd played it at 3, would have been better. My matchups that I lost, I don't think this would have really mattered because, like, one of them was, like, super not real. I lost to one of the Fire Team Snake Eye players I played because, I think, well, just Snake Eye in general, off of, like, the most bullshit RNG, like, not real game of my life. I was siding Inspector Border, and he super poly'd me with his set Veiler. So he had set a Veiler that he played one of, that he kept sided in for my deck that plays 0 hand traps that he had not seen hand traps in, and no one in the tournament up to that point had seen me summon Border because I hadn't yet. I hadn't drawn a Border to summon. So no one knew I had it. He kept it in for whatever reason and got, like, giga rewarded for nothing. Actually drew 2. He also even lead me. So he even lead me. I kept Inspector Border. He set Veiler on my turn. He super poly'd me when I attacked into the Veiler. I summoned a second Border, and then he called by hit on his turn and went activate Bonfire and did combo. And because I'd been even lead, I only had 1 trap, which was Torrential, and Torrential doesn't break the Fire Team Snake Eye board by itself. You need 1 more interruption. So unfortunate. Sometimes you're just not good enough to win. That was one of my losses, and that was game 3. And that was after game 2, he set up everything and, like, triple cycloned me. So, you know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But yeah, this actually felt good enough. I think the 3rd Lord would have been relevant. But besides that, I think that was perfect for ratios. For spells, triple Prosperity, 2 Pot of Duality, Card of Demise, Tread's broken, Tread should see more play, 1 Called by the Grave. So how this was working is, this I just viewed as another trap card functionally. This card's so broken right now that, like, you just have to play it. It's so good against the Fire Team Snake Eye deck. But these are my draw cards. These are just consistency because, like, naturally, other than Golden Lord, we don't have, like, the Eldlich traps, we don't have any inherent consistency in the deck. So I played 6 draw cards, like, to help me just guarantee I get what I wanted. Obviously, Lord of the Heavenly Prison also helps. Lord grab Card of Demise when you're, like, low on resources is also just nut. Oh my god, it felt, I did it a couple times, and it just felt like the most ridiculous play in the world, because I would go from having, like, no cards to Card of Demise having a full hand, having 4 set traps and a Lord of the Heavenly Prison on board, and actually just insane. So those are our spells. From there, the rest is traps. We're just playing a bunch of them. So after that, we played Triple Torrential. Torrential's insane. Even like, you might think, in the Snake Eye Fire Team matchup, this card's not that good. No, this card's still good in that matchup, because you're just, like, forcing them to burn their resources. They will run out eventually. That's kind of what I noticed, is that, like, they have a ton of recursion, but you can just eventually run them out, and once they run out of, like, summonable fire monsters, the game's over. Which sounds like a horrible way to win, but I did it a lot. My kind of game plan versus the deck was just to just run them out of fire monsters and then, like, slowly pick apart their grave with Ice Dragons and Hoquero until they ran out of resources and just win the game. Or just, like, floodgate them out and win, like with Still Drain here. Triple Still Drain afterwards. Card's insane. I guess what should go in order a little bit better for, like, traps, because I think there's more. Oh yeah. So Triple Still Drain, this is, like, the main flood I played. I did play Rivalry and Gozen, but I didn't really draw them. This card came up a lot, though. This card's still broken. Flipping Still Drain still feels dirty. And yeah, it's really good. Even against the Fire Team Snake Eye deck, they just lose their way to recover so much that they're just relying on Poplar, essentially, to carry. So Triple Still Drain. From there, we played Triple Ice Dragon's Prison. I don't like that this is once per turn, but the card is so powerful and you need it when you're playing against the fire deck, because it just lets you kind of pick apart their board and clear their board for free. Especially, like, when they have if they're playing, like, Pure, you just Ice Dragon's Prison, banish both of them, and then that game's just, you banish both their Flameburgers, game's, like, over. They don't have recovery. Versus the Fire Team deck, you banish their Garunix and Aponix, and they only play 1 Ponix, 1 Garunix, and now they don't have them to, like, generate advantage and generate bodies every turn. It's just free, especially if you can get the Flamebird off the board in that matchup from there, and, like, they just have they're, like, out of resources almost entirely at that point. They can still, like, kind of hopefully, like, try to, like, Ghetto Tyrann you, but it doesn't really matter. You're, like, they don't have their big power plays other than, like, Promethean, so it's usually just, like, winnable from there. After that, Triple Daruma Cannon. This card's nutty. This card carried me a lot of games. There's a surprising amount of cards that say face up to get their triggers, or their like protection effects are for targeting, or like you can just ignore just their like protection effects. You just Daruma them. So specifically versus the Voiceless Voice deck, their ritual spells is face up ritual monsters. So if you do like what I was doing a lot of the time is I was going Chainlink 1 Torrential, Chainlink 2 Daruma, and it would wipe their board. So you can just like do that, and the game's like over right there because now they don't have free resources coming out of the deck like they normally would, and they lose any protection effects they would have had because of the Daruma. So Daruma Torrential like actually just went nutty. I think I also did that to a what deck was it? Oh, I did that to a Kashtira player also. With his Chandra Era, he basically had 4 monsters on the board. He summoned with Chandra Era. I went Torrential, Chainlink 2, Daruma, and like wiped the whole board. From there, Triple Solemn Strike. Just like generically, this is like one of the better draw second cards. And then it's a way to like just deal with Omni Negate. So like let's say I go for like a Torrential and they go Omni Negate and they go Strike. It's just easy. The new card, Triple Iron Thunder. This card's absolutely nasty. This card carried me a lot of games. This is Solemn Judgment and Solemn Strike wrapped in one, but it also blows up every card in like the column of the card that it negated. So what's happening? I think the biggest one I had is my opponent was playing. My opponent had Branded Lost, Cartesia, Sanctifier all in a row. They went Cartesia effect. I went, okay, Iron Thunder, cleared all 3 of them off 1 card. So this is not only, this negates 1 face-up card on the field when it activates its effect, and then it, you pay off your life points, negates the effect of 1 spell, trap, or monster when it activates, and then it and then destroys everything in that card's column, including your cards, which can be annoying. So you have to kind of like think when you're playing this. There's a couple of times where like I pre-shot like a Conquistador. My opponent was like, "Why'd you do that?" And it's because they had like they had put like a normal summon in that zone, or they had put Snake Eye Ash there. And so I just went okay, and then I hit it. Then I hit the Snake Eye Ash with like the Iron Thunder. So it came up a little bit to mess. Like the zone thing came up a little bit. I also like fucked up one time because I had an Ice Dragon set in the zone that they had activated their monster effect in, and I was like, oh, that sucks. So I had to like burn I had Iron Thunder my Ice Dragons away, and because I was like, oh, I have Ice Dragon's Prison left, I messed up and I thought I could banish a card when they went for Branded Red, and I couldn't, and so I had to kind of scramble a little bit, but no big deal. And then yeah, like I said, Strike is just there to be the other way to like deal with cards. For Eldlich Traps, 3 Sanguine, 3 Conquistador, 2 Huaquero, just kind of the center. This is just like the center Eldlich trap lineup. Nothing crazy there. I didn't play like Eldland or anything or any of the other extra traps. Just like you don't really need them. It would have been nice, but I didn't want to brick on like bad cards, and like drawing Golden Lord already feels bad. So I play more cards that like have you brick when I can just set more traps. Double Punishment. I didn't really like Punishment. I'm not gonna lie. It's an okay card, right? It's decent, but the problem with Punishment is the cards you want to send, or like the reason Punishment is good or better than other cards is because it what's the word for it, is because it sends one from extra deck. The problem is I was specifically trying not to play into Thruster Talents, and so what happened a couple times, I was like, I need to like burn this and hit 2 cards, which is fine, it is what it is. But the problem is like I would have to go like, okay, I guess I'll send Natis here, and then they would go like Talents, draw 2, and I was like, man, I just like my advantage deck just like lost so much. I basically gave my opponent 3 card effects because I had no other way for them to trigger that Talents, and then they got 2 more cards on top of it. So basically I gave them 3 cards, which felt really bad, but I mean, it is what it is. I still did pretty well, and it never really like threw games away. I'm not sure if I'll cut it yet, but I would like to have a more versatile extra deck, and this kind of also limits that, especially when we're playing extra. We just have so little space. I definitely think like my extra deck was like the weakest part of my deck today. Had it been a little bit better, I think one of the matches I would have lost was super winnable. Specifically, I lost to a Runic Stun, and had I had the Azalea that I wanted to play, I would have definitely done like I would have beaten that deck 100% of the time in the situations, which sucked, but it is what it is. 1 Goes and 1 Rivalry. I actually never drew either. I think I never drew either of these cards. Can't even attest for how good they are. I did side them out a lot in like matchups where they're bad. I know like Gozen is pretty bad into the fire deck, so maybe you don't play this. Rivalry is also like okay into the fire deck, but they can like in theory play around it. They can still get the Flamberge and like try to make you play like a Flamberge beatdown game, which is pretty good. But I don't know. It felt okay. Yeah, so the deck 41 cards. I played 41 because at first I wasn't going to play the third Ice Dragons, but then I was like, you know what, I might just mine as well. There's no, like, at this point, it's just good enough to. Just go to 41. I didn't really know what I wanted to cut, so I played 41. I built this deck like the night before the event, so sometimes that's what you do. For the extra deck, like I said, this is the weakest part of the deck. Triple Typhon. I thought this would come up more, but I went 1 in 7 in dice rolls, and so this card was terrible. Because like this card is only, I don't have a way to summon a monster turn 1, right? Like I guess I can go Golden Lord into it, but like I'm not normally summoning Golden Lord turn 1 unless I like hard drew it, which I did a couple times. But even then, like just having Golden Lord on board a lot of the time, if I'm like sending Sanguine or already have Conk in there, was just better than having this on the board. So in theory, it should have been better. The only times I went first once the whole time, I went first like probably 4 games all day. Like legitimately, I went first 4 games all day. Trying to think, because I think I lost. Both my losses were 2-1, so I went first twice in those. I 2-0'd almost everybody. I think I had like 2 other game losses throughout the day. And I won 1 die roll. So no, I went first 5 times in 8 rounds. So this card never came up because this is like way better for going first, because you establish and you blow your opponent's board up, and then you drop a Typhon, and then it like versus like the Fire Team deck, you have the Typhon on board with like your trap underneath that you bounce one of their cards, and then the Typhon is just like a body, but it turns off Flamberge summoning back, which is like the logic behind it. But I just could never do it because I never went first, and it's really hard to establish later on in the game when you're trying to like scramble to like stay alive, which is like half of what this deck's doing. You're just trying to stay alive until you can kind of like trade the resources down effectively. 1 Zeus, I think I made it like 1 time. 1 Gustav, I couldn't find my Lieb, or I would have played Lieb too. And like I said, the punishment targets ate up too much extra deck space, but I think like having more rank 10s would have been relevant, especially if I put the 3rd Lord in, but oh well. From there, we played 1 Chaos Angel. You can use the 2 Eldlich traps, the continuous traps to go into this, which is pretty good. It came up like twice. Unfortunately, one of the times, one of the games I was like, the reason I lost to Runic, the Runic Sun deck, is because I actually like got to this where I went Chaos Angel. They judgmented my Chaos Angel. I judgmented their judgment. They judgmented my fucking judgment. I used the new trap card, and they used the new trap card. It was ridiculous, and then they just like slowly life gained on me until I lost in time, because we both paid so much life, but they had a Munin up, and I didn't have a way to clear it like effectively because they had negated my Little Knight. So, and they negated my Little Knight, and they had the card that makes it so level 6 or higher special monsters can attack, and I didn't have any monsters other than a Golden Lord left in deck, and I had no way to clear it. Really stupid, because they banished all my Lord of Heavenly Prisons. These are basically just punishment targets, I think. Yeah. Well, there's some other stuff. This guy, this is the card I wanted to be able to send with like punishment to like do something. It like I said, it sucked. Punishment was like, the punishment targets were just bad all day. Like, and they were good when they were like Natis and stuff. They were nice, but it was weird. 1 Malong, this is your other punishment target. 2 Natis. The problem with the cards end up being is like popping cards isn't very good, but Malong's too weak to get the bounce a lot. Which is what would have been nicer. And Natis is fine into like some matchups, just like not the fire deck really, because popping the cards in the fire deck just generally isn't very good. 1 Garura, 1 Bucephalus. These are what I played for my targets. Yeah, it was fine. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to play punishment in the future, but the card's like still good. It's just like bad into the fire deck pretty much, which whatever. Especially when everyone's on Talents and Thrust. Even post side, people don't have enough stuff to take out, so they leave those cards in on like the off chance. 1 Little Knight, 1 Imduk, 1 Link Spider. Like I said, this is probably the worst part of the deck for me. I think if these 6 cards had been real cards, I don't think Punishment was the best card in my hand in like any games I played. So had these been like different cards, which I've thought about like Azalea for sure, and some of the more like other rank 10s, I think I would have won matches I lost otherwise. For sure, if I had Azalea, I would have at least beat the Sky Striker, or at least beat the Runic player I played against. Because Sky Striker Azalea just like pops the field spell, or like forces them to do stuff, and you just like attack it and start trying to like force them to commit cards. For the side deck, this also like could have been better. I think for the most part it was fine. Triple Sphere Mode versus the Snake Eye deck. This card's broken. You just like Sphere Mode their board. They always end on 3+ monsters, so they do like their Snake Eye combo. They end on 3+ monsters. You just go, okay, here's a Sphere Mode. 3 borders that are inspecting. This card's broken. I only summoned it one time, I think, all day. Yeah, I only summoned it one time all day, and my opponent just super polyed it, and then called by it when I had a second copy. Because the only time I drew it today was I drew 2. Fun times. 3 shifter for going second. I actually never setted this in. My problem with this is that I'm trying to play like an advantage grind, resource grind deck, and like my opponent can simply like make the cognitive decision to like really, really minimally commit to the board. I just wanted a card for like big bungus like Manadium type combo decks, and I just like this. I was like, this is just the best way to do it. Like for like Manadium combo decks, like Brideki and like Lightning Storm and stuff are bad against them, and I don't want to like do anything else because they can set up a good board. Like Raid Raptor is the other deck this is for. This is for like the bungus combos, which I didn't play because they're not that good right now. But that is you shifter them or you like sphere mode them, and then that's how you beat those decks. Those decks are like the scariest ones to play against. Finally, triple evenly matched. Cards just good against the Snake Eye deck. They don't really set up Omni Negates if they're playing the Fire Team build, and evenly just kind of like deletes their board. Finally, 3 judgments that are solemn. We've seen another way to beat evenly in Lightning Storm, and this is just one of the ways. One of the nice things about the list now that we have Iron Thunder is that this card, like unironically, beats almost the like. Fixes one of the major issues that I had, and that playing Judgment in the main feels like ass unless you're like cheesing die rolls all day, or like winning die rolls all day. This card feels terrible going second. This card feels good going. This card's nasty going second. If your opponent doesn't play around it too, it's like extra dirty because you can like play around like where your opponent's like negates are. And so like let's say they have like a Baron here, you know, like I'm gonna set my like 4 cards here, and then I'm gonna like flip my Eld Trap to like my Eld Trap's gonna go here if I want it engrave, and I can flip it early if I need to. If I don't need to, I can just like Iron Thunder negate their monster. Sorry, I can't even see. So let's say like we'll go like this. So like what was happening is like my opponent would like set up their Omni here, like their Baron here. I would go, okay, I want this Eld Trap. This Eld Trap can be in like this zone here. And so when I Iron Thunder them, I can clear my own Eld Trap and then like banish it to get another one, so that I have like, let's say when I like summoning Conquistador is like super inconsequential, but like getting to my Golden Lord early can be really relevant. So that's kind of where I was going for with that. Where like there was like some kind of cool interesting interactions you can have. Another one that I found cool when I was playing the deck was once one of my opponents I had specifically, I believe this is what it was, yeah. So when they summoned their Snake Eye Ash on the follow-up turns, where was I? Where is my Daruma Cannon? So my opponent was playing Pure Snake Eye, and when they had summoned their Snake Eye, I had like cleared their board off like a torrential, or I think I sphere moded them, and then I had these set, and then they got their cards back, and then they went for a Snake Eye Ash. They went for a Snake Eye Ash normal summon. I torrentialed them, and then they tried to like reset up their board because they triggered their wUNAX, and then I went, so they had wUNAX on board. And I was like, okay, yeah. I don't remember the exact scenario, but I believe they had like wUNAX on field from me like torrentialing all their Snake Eye guys away that came back with Flamberge. And I remember going Chainlink 1 Daruma Cannon, Chainlink 2 Huquero, target their only Fire Team monster in the graveyard, or like, activating, going for Sanguine. And then what ended up happening was I brought out my Golden Lord. I special summoned Huquero. I banished the Ponix from their graveyard, so they no longer had a target for to summon back with Kirin. And then Daruma Cannon reset these all face down, because it resets the trap cards in the spell and trap zone. And so what ended up happening is they weren't able to use the Promethean because they had no more fires face up. I was able to freely clear away their Ponix, so they couldn't use Promethean Princess on me, and they no longer got their Kirin pop. So they were able to like stop everything from happening. And then now once it was my turn, I just flipped up the Golden Lord, activated Huquero, cleared out their Promethean, and then started just picking apart their board. And then I was able to, like, once their board was cleaned up, basically, because I cleared their like last 2 monsters, I banished this, set another Huquero, activated this Huquero, and then I cleared out their wUNAX, and they were just out of. They no longer had I believe they no longer had Flamberge, Ponix, they no longer had Flamberge, because that was banished off Called By, I believe, and then after that they no longer had their Garunix, or no, I think I Ice Dragon both their Flamberges or something random. They no longer had Ponix, Garunix, Flamberge, or Promethean, and they were just like completely out of resources, because I kind of just like ate everything off just like flipping the Eldlich traps and then like combining the fact that Daruma lets me reset them and like continue playing. So yeah, deck played out really well. I will say this is not like this is not like Super Monkey Eldlich. You have to be good at playing trap decks. You have to be good at managing your resources. So I think a lot of people are going to struggle to play a deck like this, but if you can learn how to do good resource management and learn how to like play like a more tempo based, like longer game, this deck is rewarding. The Fire Team Sanctum matchup can be a little difficult. Because like naturally you don't win, you have to really play like out of your mind to win that matchup, because their deck is just better. But you have like a pretty solid matchup, and they have a lot of bad cards in their deck, so you can kind of punish them. Because they're gonna have to work really hard with like their Snake Eye and Fire Team cards alone, and as long as you can like properly interact with those cards, you have a very like straightforward game plan to play with them 90% of the time. 90% of the time, you're forcing them to honestly just play Fire Team Snake Eye, and they're not going to be getting carried by like any of the like ghetto cards, like the Talons or the Thrust or the Droplet or Nib. You get to play a very honest game of Yu-Gi-Oh with them. Granted, sometimes you just still drain them and they cry, but so you kind of have that edge of where you play an honest game, and if they don't use their resources properly or you're able to play around their resources properly, you can just capitalize on it and win, which I really liked. That kind of happened for a lot of decks. I did still drain a lot of people, which I'm going to say this card's not fun, but man is it a good card. It's not fun to play against for them, but fun for me, not fun for we. Alright, peace out. I guess shoutouts to my homies who let me borrow cards. Mosher, Cardboard Carnivores. I think he's somewhere on the mat. Yeah. Shout out to our boy Cardboard Carnivores, sponsor Lost Zone. Little Battle Cat Reap, he's an insanely good artist. I don't know what Encore is, I'm not going to lie. And then shout out the Team WUNAX channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, and thanks for my homie Kavan. He's the reason I have Iron Thunders. That I put it on my deck list, submitted it with not having any on me personally. He got me the QCR and one of the secrets. So shout out to him. But yeah, and then shout out to all my homies who were with me testing and helping me realize that this format's ass and that it's just flipping power cards half the time. So why play into them? Because we were watching replays and I was like, man, bro, this format's awful. I do not like playing Nib, Droll, Talents, Thrust, Nibiru, evenly Lightning Storm format. Like the format. That's literally what this format is. It's just slam power cards because the engines are so strong. And I didn't want to play that. I wasn't about that life. But that's it. Peace out.